Have you ever heard of an ESG score? Most people haven't, yet these scores are quietly shaping our world. They decide which companies get to grow, which industries receive investment, and even which countries can access global capital. It's one of the most powerful forces you've never heard of. ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. On the surface, it sounds like a great idea. It's a way to measure how responsibly a company acts toward the planet, its people, and its own leadership. It sounds ethical, right? But underneath that simple definition is a system with immense, almost hidden power. ESG scores aren't just ratings like you'd see on a movie review. They're signals. Powerful signals sent to banks, massive investment funds, insurance companies, and even governments. These signals tell them where to let money flow and where to quietly cut it off. Think about it like this. A company with a high ESG score gets a green light. It can get cheaper loans, attract more investors, and build institutional trust. But if a company gets a low score, that green light turns red. Access to capital starts to dry up. Loans become more expensive. Investors pull back. Entire industries can be starved of funding, all without a single law being passed. What makes the system so influential is that it operates almost completely outside of our democratic process. You and I don't get to vote on ESG standards. No elected official approves how they are enforced. Yet the consequences are very real, and they are global. Today, some of the world's largest asset managers, the ones handling trillions of dollars, are using ESG scores not just as a suggestion, but as a hard rule. If a company or even an entire country doesn't fit within their ESG framework, it's labeled as a higher risk. This happens regardless of how profitable, efficient, or popular that company might be. And this changes behavior. Companies start changing their policies. It's not always because their customers want them to, but because the people with the money demand it. Governments start rewriting regulations, not necessarily because the public agrees, but to maintain their financial standing in the eyes of global investors. Over time, ESG becomes a form of soft governance. It doesn't use force. It uses access to capital. Now, supporters of ESG have a strong argument. They say it helps manage long-term risks like climate change, social inequality, and poor corporate leadership, which all threaten economic stability. And in many ways, they have a point. But critics raise a deeper question. Who gets to decide what's good? Who sets these standards? And what happens when these global rules clash with local needs? Imagine a developing country that relies on its natural resources, like fossil fuels, to lift its people out of poverty. Under a strict ESG framework, that reliance is seen as a negative. Investment dries up. Economic growth stalls. It's not because the market rejected them, but because a scoring system did. This is how ESG starts to quietly steer the destiny of nations, not through sanctions or war, but through something much subtler: capital preference. The real power of ESG is its invisibility. There isn't one single headquarters you can protest. There's no one leader to challenge. It's a shared set of rules adopted by the most powerful financial players on the planet. And once they all agree on the rules, it becomes very difficult to play a different game. This doesn't mean ESG is some evil plot, but it does mean that it's incredibly powerful, and anything that powerful deserves to be understood and questioned. Because when the financial system starts to define morality, and when getting money depends on following a specific set of rules, the line between guidance and control gets very blurry. ESG scores will probably never be on a ballot. They might not make the front page of the news, but they are already shaping the world we live in, influencing our economies, our industries, and our future. And this unseen influence might just be one of the most important stories of our time. Thanks for watching. If you found this interesting, consider subscribing for more deep dives into the forces that shape our world.